Hey, plumbing pros, welcome to the 470th episode of Potty Talk, where we're taking into the trenches, the crawl basements, kitchens, and baths. I stumbled all over that. We're taking it into everything, all around this big, beautiful world of ours, talking the business of plumbing, how to have a thriving, self-sustaining, and very profitable plumbing business while having a life too. And you know, culture isn't just a poster, on the wall, okay, or a pizza party on Fridays. It's the locker room. It's the mission. It's what your team does when you're not watching. Today, we're breaking down how to create a plumbing team culture that wins day in and day out. So let's go. All right. Hey, welcome. Hey, sweetheart, it's good to have you here on Potty Talk. Good to have you here in the studio. And we're talking about how to create a winning plumbing team culture. Okay. All right. Isn't that a lot of fun?
Of course it is. One of the things you don't think about when you start a plumbing business.
I know.
About the 100th thing that you haven't thought about when you start a plumbing
exactly.
business.
But having a winning team culture is extremely important to your success. So let's get into it here. Okay. So let's break it down. We have our golden nuggets. Golden nugget number one: set the mission, build the standard. A championship culture starts with clarity. If your crew doesn't know what they're fighting for or how to win each day, you're not leading a team, you're managing chaos. So you need to first define your mission, all right? Your plumbing business, isn't just about pipes, okay? It's about purpose, all right? You got to give your team something to believe in. Maybe it's protecting, families, maybe it's raising the bar in your city, whatever it is, you got to define it clearly, post it up, and repeat it often. A strong mission gives your team direction. And when people know, where they're headed, they move with purpose. Without it, they're just clocking in and drifting. And that's not how you build championship teams. This is so important. That's why we had, I know, in these times, where we have these things, we're looking to make the world a safer place and green and all that, which is important. Okay.
Green? No.
Well, no, I know, I know, we're going off the deep end, okay, yeah. But we are naturally designed in a sense that we want to work for something. Okay. Other than just
want to have a purpose.
Want to have a purpose. Right.
Yeah.
And I know, and so with plumbing, it's kind of hard. I get it. This is kind of fluffy talk, okay? And so we can think about, trying to make the water cleaner and all that kind of stuff with plumbing. So what do we do to fight, for purpose? Okay. And I just made it, a thing with guys. So where I'm going with this, I have this saying. We have it, in fact, I think we have it on the wall here in our basement set. Okay, plumb like a champion, and that comes from. The room that, our tech cave that we created, I actually had this sign made, out of wood and all that, and had a golden plunger on it. And all that. And yes, it was 14 karat gold, not spray paint.
1 karat gold.
All right. But it was I made it our mission, our mission cry was to plumb like a champion.
Wait, I want to be clear. That's not in our home now. That was when we had the plumbing business. We do not have a golden plunger in our home right now. Just saying. Exactly. It was at the office.
Yes.
When we had a plumbing business.
So trying to create that mission, and I took the route of kind of making the mission kind of fun, of being the best, plumbing organization, and kind of sharp, high and tight, that kind of a thing.
Uniforms ironed.
Right. I went that route, which is important, and built a good brand anyways. But that was actually our mission as well. Okay. And then I even took, the sense of flying every mission, like every mission successful. So it's like every job, everything. And that's what we focused on. I know you're smiling at me because it's kind of weird. I know.
Well, no, it's so you.
Yeah.
So it's just you.
Okay. You don't want to add anything to that? Okay.
Sitting, knowing that you need to set a culture or have a mission is the first step, right?
Right.
Realizing that you do, and you do. As soon as you start a plumbing business, you've got different responsibilities. Again, like I said in the beginning, you don't necessarily think of when you start the plumbing business, but you're hopefully going to have employees. Hopefully, you're going to be bringing on other techs so you can get your butt out of the truck. And when you do that, then you've got a responsibility to them to these employees. And it's not always about pay and good equipment and those things. Of course, those are important, but it's how do they feel? Do they feel a part of whatever it is this company is trying to do? And even more so now, I think, with the generations that we have now, Gen Z, I've lost track of which ones are which, but they are very social because of social media and all that. So it's like they want to be a part of something, which is unique to people our age. We're at the bottom of the boomers, bottom of the boomers. Golly, it makes us really old. But that's a different thought. I mean, it was when we were younger, or even, in the beginning we had our plumbing business, like, I'm paying you, just do the work.
Just go do the
just work, for heaven's sakes. Why do I need to give you a puppy to hold?
Right, exactly.
I don't understand.
Exactly.
So anyway.
So I know we could go so. It's gotten so, when we're talking about the mission here, it's not just that mission has changed. You're right. Or the idea of
the need.
The need is, so it's gone to the extreme of where we have happy hours. Every hour is happy hour in the business, and you got game rooms, and you got, where you slide down into balls and that kind of stuff, and it's like a party zone.
That's the new Christian church.
Right, exactly. That's true. Right.
Should not be that way.
Okay, and that's not mission. Okay, it is something higher or better for you. That the important thing is that you kind of, everyone gets wrapped up in it. Everyone. And my thing was, and of course that's part of MDP here, is just raising men.
Yes.
I want to raise the plumbing industry up from just thinking and being a butt crack society, which there's a reason why there's stereotypes, and I can say it because it's where I come from. Sadly, there's a lot of that, still there. But raising men up, okay, and part of that is, and also just raising men up in the plumbing industry, but also in our society. Our society's in a place today because men are too busy doing this and watching, football all day, Saturday and Sunday. Okay, nothing wrong with that, but just
video games all day.
Right, exactly. So it's rising it up. So that's why I took the tact of plumbing like a champion. I tried to make it that being the mission, not just the best, water quality out there and that kind of stuff. Tried to make it like we were against the world,
Us against the world,
the other plumbing companies, that kind of a thing.
Well, and how do I say this? Humans. Especially, men want to be led by a strong man. They just do. Rarely will men go follow a weak leader. Would you agree with that as a man? I mean, and unfortunately, we have a lot of weakness. So if you can be a strong leader, not a big fat jerk and you're yelling and cussing all the time and all that, that's not it. It's being a strong benevolent king, like you always talk about, being a benevolent king, where it's your kingdom because your plumbing business, you started it, so it is your kingdom. But then, how do you treat those that that's under your what's not under, but that work for you, right? How do you treat them? You have that responsibility and all that. But
so you create the mission, but that leads right into a very important part of leadership, and that's that. That next for your culture, you want to set, non-negotiables. Okay, if you want a culture that wins, you got to define the rules of the locker room. Okay, that means setting clear non-negotiables, like be on time, show respect, keep the trucks clean, no gossip, no excuses, whatever it is. When you tolerate nonsense, you teach your team that standards don't matter. Right? When standards don't matter, neither does the mission. Culture is shaped by what you correct and what you allow. If you want pros on your team, you got to lead like one, and that is so important.
Like a pro.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. And that starts like, as we teach in the academy, okay, and we talk about with our clients or whatever, it's having Monday morning meetings. Okay. Every Monday morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
And establishing those, not if it's not busy.
Right.
Or, we'll only have them when we're not busy or we don't have some big job or everybody's hungover or whatever it might be, right? Or
Mondays can often be busy or whatever. But what that is, though, is it sets the tone for the, it's game day. We got to get back in the frame of mind. So you don't do them on Tuesdays or Wednesdays or that kind of thing. You do them on Mondays because everybody's off on the weekend or doing their own thing. You got to get everyone's minds back in shape. Okay, and you got to remind them of the non-negotiables. Okay, the Monday morning meetings aren't just for, you're not going to just go through all the problems last week or that kind of thing, but you're going to reinstate your non-negotiables. and it's the same ones. You know, I did it for over 18 years. I visit every Monday, the same 3 to 5 things that are your non-negotiables, like, you know, options.
Always giving options.
You know,
make sure your truck is clean.
Making good job notes.
Making good job notes, yes. And it doesn't matter what those non-negotiables are. It can be whatever you want them to be.
Right.
Again, it's your plumbing company. You're the king. You get to decide.
Right.
So, but having those and that everybody knows what they are, right? If your team doesn't know that you have a non-negotiable of cleaning, making sure your truck is clean, then and you know it is to you that's a non-negotiable to you. Well, but you've not told your team. You're going to stumble upon, Joe's truck, and it's going to be, filthy and a dirt bag, and it's all the things, and you're going to come unglued. And Joe's like, well, "What, man? What's the big deal? This I can work out of this. This isn't bothering me." Well, you didn't set the expectation for what Joe was supposed to do with the truck you own.
Right. And Joe may not be that. Again, that's a non-negotiable, and Joe may not think that way.
Correct.
And so
it's not bugging him.
In his life, it's not a non-negotiable, but in this organization, it has to be a non-negotiable. Only way to stay on top of it is to be on top of it, and constantly. So it's every Monday you're going over your non-negotiables,
right.
But it's also having them in place. So it's coming up with the three to 5 things at most that someone would be fired for on the spot, or it's that's the negative side. On the positive side, it's what systemizes and what compels your company forward. So like in our case, and what we teach in the academy is, it's providing options. You don't need special sales, whatever. The options do it automatically, and there's a process with that. Okay, and so we went through that process every Monday because it's a non-negotiable. So when Joe doesn't offer options, okay, he knows it's a bad thing immediately, but I'm also right on him. Because that leads to the next point of finally you got to live the standard yourself, okay, or you can't expect your team to follow a standard that you don't live by. So like if you show up late, look sloppy, cut corners, or trash talk your crew, guess what they're going to do? All right, you set the ceiling on what your team believes is acceptable. Okay? If you want your techs to act like professionals, you got to show them what that looks like. All right, be the thermostat, not the thermometer. Your behavior sets the temperature for your entire team. Okay, so you can't let those standards slide. Correct. So like if the thing is like a clean truck, okay, the first time Joe's truck isn't clean, you got to be on him right then. Yeah, you got to be in his face right then. All right, the options thing was a big deal. That was our culture, because the options are ultimately what helps sell. Correct. Okay, and raises your average ticket systematically.
And it provides a service. Provides a service to Mrs. Jones.
So it was an important non-negotiable that we do that,
right?
Because it's all part of our white glove service. Okay, as giving Mrs. Jones a choice. So when it's not done, I don't wait till the next Monday morning meeting to say something to Joe after the meeting. Okay, I'm on Joe right now, right at that call. He didn't get another call, so you got to be on top of it. Correct. Immediately. You got to address it immediately, and then also you can't be a hypocrite. So when you go out, and you ride with the guys or whatever just to check things out,
or you're
training, just because you're able. And you're able to speak a different way with the customer because you are good. You are a salesman.
You're the owner.
You are the owner, so you got a natural bent towards it. You can do different things, okay? You can slide through your non-negotiables, okay? You can't, all right? So if your thing is to be dressed a certain way, you got to be dressed a certain way, okay? If your thing is, with the options, you got to give options every single time.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't let it slide. And it's real easy as the plumbing business owner to let those things slide, especially if you're training, right? Because training's a pain, guys, right? Just you're busy. So like if you needed to hire somebody, probably meant you're busy. So you've got plenty of work. And so now you're probably still in the truck or maybe 1 foot in, and now you're having to have some other guy with you to train, and it's slowing you down. And so part of it is, well, I just need to hurry up and I need to get through this because we got another job, and you know how busy you are and all the things. That's the worst thing you can do, man. When I just said, man, bro, whatever it is,
bro.
Did you say that?
I don't know. Can you pull it off?
I don't think I can. So when you are training, that is a time to be over the top on all the things, right? Showing up on time, doing the options, making the presentation the way to Mrs. Jones that you want the presentation to be done, putting on the shoe covers, listening to the customer to state their plumbing problem. All of those things you have to do to the nth degree, because the guy you're training will at best be 80% of you. So he's watching you. Okay, here's how it needs to be done. No, he's going to do 80% of that. At best.
Yes.
At best.
That's what you pray for.
That's what you pray for.
Really, and that's the reality. Your best guys will be 80% of you.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So, I just had a thought on this, and I said, you got to hold your standard there, which is true, but it's on this kind of, thing of providing options, or what are the things that you're having them do. But I hear a lot of, it doesn't mean you got to be first in and last out in your business as the owner. I know it takes
Right. Well, I think
off a different direction
we've
here.
seen comments online where guys will idiots will say whatever, but it's more when you're out of the truck. Once you're out of the truck and you've got a crew and they're doing things, don't feel the need, because you're a plumber and you like possibly not like, but you're comfortable working with your hands, is what you know, to go out. Well, I'll just go out and give him a hand and I'll do this. No, man, once your butt's out of the truck, your butt needs to stay out of the truck.
Right. So it's not a matter.
Your crew needs to see it.
So it's not a matter. You got to show your crew that you're the hardest worker, the most in, that kind of stuff. No, that's not what we're talking about here.
Not what we're talking
it's the
about.
culture of how we provide our service.
Correct.
And what we do. Okay.
And how you keep your truck.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Hey, if you want to dig deeper, into like this topic and other vital topics, like pricing, hiring, actually get your butt out of the truck, okay? Then you can join my free school group. It's packed with training, resources, and a community of guys just like you looking to grow their business and their freedom. The best part, doesn't cost a daggone thing, all right? Check the link in the show notes, or go to themilliondollarplumber.com/school and join us today. Let's build you a plumbing business that works for you, not the other way around.
All right.
Are you looking for a way to show appreciation to your customers? Look no further than To Your Success, the leading gifting service for plumbing businesses nationwide. Imagine this. After every service call, your customers receive a delightful gift like freshly baked cookies right at their doorstep. To Your Success makes it easy to automate this process, ensuring your customers feel valued and appreciated every single time. But it's not just about gifts. It's about creating memorable experiences that shape how your customers feel about your plumbing company. With To Your Success, you can turn every interaction into an opportunity for connection and loyalty. So, if you want to enhance your customers' relationships and stand out in the competitive plumbing market, visit milliondollarplumber.com/cookie today. Join us in making customer appreciation a priority and watch your business thrive. That's milliondollarplumber.com/cookie. So
we're talking about company culture. Company culture, and then how to build and realize that you need a company culture, but then how to build it. So.
Yep. Well, it leads us to gold nugget number 2. Build a locker room, not just a staff list. All right. Winning teams aren't built with warm bodies. They're built with belief, identity, and trust. If your shop feels like a revolving door, you're not building a team. You're just managing turnover. So you first want to recruit character, not just skill. You can teach a guy to solder a pipe, but you can't teach him how to care. Don't hire just based on skill. Look for character, integrity, attitude, hustle. The kind of guy who shows up, gives a damn, and doesn't quit when it gets tough, okay? That's who builds your culture. It's easy to get desperate and hire the first guy with a license, breathing. But if he's cancer to your culture, you're better off running a truck short until you find the right one. That is so important. I say this all the time, and then we get stuck in it. It's one of the biggest mistakes. When we start our plumbing businesses, is that we're looking for plumbing. It ain't about plumbing.
I mean, you're looking for
plumbers, the best plumbers.
Yeah.
And then so when we're talking with them, do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do that? What happens when you see this? Why don't we do that? Like we run them through this,
Show me how you solder.
Right. All this other, and it's all BS. Look, if they assume there's no plumbing, you want good plumbers, okay? But if they're weak in some areas, you can teach plumbing. All day long, okay? What you can't teach is character. That's more difficult, okay? And that's where
That's very difficult.
right, and that's really where things are. Okay, so again, assume that they know plumbing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, if they've got it somewhere on their resume or their application that they worked at other plumbing companies and listed themselves as a plumber, then more than likely they do know some plumbing. And yeah, like you said, it's easy to teach that if there's a something link loose
Right.
in the skill department that way. But from a character standpoint,
It's a character thing. And I know you said like one of our favorite questions to ask when they interviewing is we'd ask, like, what if you could live during a different time, when would that be and what would you be? A lot of times you ought to get back, what? Because you don't expect that kind of a question. Well, if you could live during a different time period, when would that be and what would you be? So like, for example, I'd like to live during the 40s, World War II, and be a fighter pilot. That kind of a thing. It's just, I want to see how the guys behave or what they would say, because it gives you an insight into their character. Again, I'm assuming they know plumbing, especially if I got a resume.
Well, I'm trying to think what my answer would be on that. When different time, I would like to think that I would want to be a part of the Go West. Go to the 18. What would it be, babe? 18 something.
1860, 1870s, 1880s when they were expanding west.
Yeah, going west.
Yeah,
I would like to think that I would be adventurous enough to do that. That would just go conquer something that's out there. However, there's no plumbing.
Right.
There's no air conditioning.
You had to dig your own plumbing.
So knowing that, I'm not quite sure that, or maybe future. Well, I'd like to maybe do future and see when they can 3D print whatever, right? A new heart or just who knows what's going to be. Anyway, sorry, off the deep end.
But it's just that's the kind of thing you want to find out the character of who you're going to be, having working for you and in front of Mrs. Jones in Mrs. Jones's house.
Yeah, when they answer the question or when you pose the question like that to them, how do they respond? Do they, kind of get jerky about it, or do they laugh and go, "Wow, I've never thought of that before," and then, just kind of see how they respond? It doesn't really matter what their answer is, unless it's, I wish I could go back in Charles Manson or whatever it might be. It really doesn't matter too much what their answer is. It's just how are they reacting, because being caught off guard in an interview, which is kind of the same thing, being caught off guard in Mrs. Jones's house.
Right.
So you kind of see how they're going to interact with Mrs. Jones.
Yeah, and that's the thing, And again, we're working on building that, that locker room culture. And so, another important part is, you must create a team identity. All right. If your techs don't feel like they're part of something, they'll never go all in. Championship teams wear matching gear for a reason. All right. It creates unity. Your brand should feel like a team jersey. Celebrate wins, post photos, call out great service. Make your guys proud to rep the logo. All right. When they feel like they belong, they perform better, stay longer, and bring in others just like them. That's how you create a culture that recruits for you.
I love what you said about creating a team identity with the same uniform. And you can. Another reason to brand well, like if the name of your company is Joe Smith Plumbing. And I get it. We see it all the time. You when you start a plumbing business, you think you need to name it after yourself or whatever, which is the worst thing you can possibly do. But it's difficult for other guys to get excited about being a part of Joe Smith Plumbing. Now, if there's some team or company identity and it's branded really well, and they've got great uniforms and trucks and all that, man, that's when the players can feel like they're a part of something bigger, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, like I was an air traffic controller in the Navy.
I've heard that.
Okay, and so I worked around a lot of fighter pilots. And the fighter pilots always had nice digs, where they met, and also on their jets, they had fighter pilot names.
They did.
So I always liked that. I always thought that was cool. So I took that, and so our tech cave was like, we had red carpet down. It was the nicest place in the whole shop. We had red carpet down, leather chairs, executive leather chairs, because that's what fighter pilots sat in. Okay, executive leather chairs. can lighting. I mean, it was just really nice, real comfortable place.
Fridge, stocked, food, all the things.
The big sign, the golden, plumb like a champion.
The plunger.
We had pictures of the guys throughout the years and, doing work. That's what we celebrate, so it looked like the tough guy, that kind of stuff. That's where we had the pictures of plumbing with our guys and kind of hitting with us, where one guy's, which wouldn't have been. He was down.
Okay.
I don't want to get us in trouble with the different agencies.
It wasn't a great picture of something
all the
that
safety,
was
but
safe,
right.
But
he was getting the job done. Getting the job done. But what I was saying with that's what we had on the and so it's that we wanted to elevate the guys, and I had fighter pilot call signs on their truck. So truck number 31. It'd be Mark Iceman. Have his name. Iceman.
Wait, Iceman was Jim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Viper and I'm thinking of different ones. Haas, different.
That was Randy.
Yeah.
Wow.
You remember? See,
I have no idea what I had for breakfast this morning. But give me another one, babe. Give me another one.
Had all different. And that would put there. And yes, it was a pain. Usually I wouldn't change it over until, they'd been like 90 days. That was one of the things we say give. Because it was kind of a pain to get revinyled. And if the guys didn't make it, because I said we weren't going to ask them a bunch of plumbing questions. Literally, but in the first couple of weeks, you find out whether a guy's worth investing in. He really does know your plumbing and how, what you're working on. And so.
Because then if they didn't last, then their call sign would be dead to us.
Dead to Yeah, that's right.
We had a lot of dead to us.
Okay.
Only plumbing business owners can fully appreciate all of it.
Well, that leads great into the next point, with building the culture is that, you got to be sure to fire fast when it's wrong. Okay. One bad tech can sink a great crew. It doesn't matter if he's, your best installer. If he rolls his eyes, ignores standards, or poisons the vibe, he's got to go fast. Culture is fragile. You can't build something great if you're walking on eggshells around a toxic guy. Your good guys are watching what you allow. If you protect the wrong person, you're telling everyone else that excellence doesn't matter. Cut the cancer. Protect the locker room is so important.
Cutting the cancer. Yeah, and that's hard to do, especially, if you're busy and you need a guy or whatever, but it brings the team down. It brings the team down. And we see it all the time as we've coached over the years, and then as, members in the academy will talk about it. It's tough to pull the trigger. You really, kind of, should I not? Should I do it? Should I not? But when you do, you'll know within just a few days that it was the right decision, because it changes the atmosphere to something more positive with the crew. Right? If this guy truly was a cancer and constantly negative and griping about stuff and doesn't like the new program you might be doing or whatever it might be, man, that what's the old saying? One bad apple spoils the whole bunch. There's a reason that is a saying. It's also a song by the Osmonds. Just saying. But there's
Did you have a Donny Osmond poster back
please,
that
Donny
age?
Osmond. I thought I was going to marry Donny Osmond, and for some reason I didn't get to. Anyway, what was I saying?
Really?
Donny Osmond. Are you kidding me? Yeah, him and oh no, what's his name?
Partridge Family?
Yes, Debbie Cassidy.
Okay.
Go look him up. They were super cute back then. Anyway, what was I saying about that?
Teen Beat? Is that what you got?
No, go back on what I was saying. Right. Oh, it's already gone. You guys know where I was
one
going.
bad apple. Just keeping it. We keep a guy,
apple.
and that's a huge mistake that
Can ruin the whole bunch.
That a lot of plumbing business owners we all make starting out, and it really comes from fear. I mean, we've seen it hundreds of times now, and we just got to point it out. You say, "Oh no, I'm not afraid." No, yeah, you are.
Afraid of what?
Of hiring a guy because he's making you money, or he knows this or that, or you're just actually afraid of being. I've known how many people guys we've known that just confrontational.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a confrontation. I'm scared of firing. And look, I've hired and fired hundreds of guys, and it's never easy. It should never be easy.
Correct.
Because that means you care. Even when the guy's stolen from you. But it's part of the. You got to get rid of the cancer. That is the way to say it.
Yes, and this again. What I talked about in the beginning, you don't think about those things when you start a plumbing business. Like, man, someday I'm going to have to fire somebody that I might like, or that's making me a decent amount of money. or that has, a wife and kids that I've come to know. You don't think about that when you start the plumbing business, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And you said, it's confrontational, and some don't like confrontation. Guys, that's another trait. As a plumbing business owner, you need to learn, and you need to get over yourself. There are times you are going to have to be confrontational. You're going to have to be confrontational with your guys. You may have to be confrontational with the vendor, sometimes with the customer. It's going to happen. And if you're not confrontational, or you refuse to confront things that are difficult, your team's going to eat you alive. They're going to see it.
What do we say? We call them, they're pack dogs. Your team, it's a bunch of pack dogs. And as soon as one of them sniffs at you, I can tell you just from 40 years of being around and leading men here, and being, first being led, and then just learning for over 40 years. Okay, as soon as a dog snaps at you, you got to take it out back and shoot it. There's no. Well, maybe if I talk with them, do that kind of thing. So that's a confrontational thing, but that's all part of culture. Part of that culture is you want your guys to be afraid of you, but they got to know when to be afraid of you. It's a healthy fear. Like, that's why there's non-negotiables. Right. It's like, I never blew up at a guy. They never saw, Richard, they knew where the lines were. A guy, literally, I handed the keys to a new truck, went down the corner and totaled it. I didn't yell at the guy. I mean, I had guys' jobs go south, and part of it was a bonehead, but he made a bonehead mistake. I didn't yell at the guy. I never fired guys for that. I fired guys for having dirty trucks, because it was one of our non-negotiables. I fired guys for not providing an options, because it was non-negotiable. I fired a guy for not taking good job notes and pictures, because it's non-negotiable.
Why'd you fire me? Which time, right? What was the response?
I gotta say, happy wife, happy life. Let's move on from there.
Okay. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
But yeah, you got to fire fast when it's wrong. Pull the trigger. It's never easy. Just do it. It's always better. Yes. It's like throwing up. Okay. When you're sick, here it goes. But once you do, it's so much better.
Until the next round hits you.
That's right. To the next bad guy. But it's just how it is. It's life. Okay. All right. But that leads us to golden nugget number 3. You need to communicate like a coach. Culture doesn't build itself. It's spoken into existence. And if the only time your team hears from you is when something's broken, right? You're not leading, you're just reacting. Real leaders communicate clearly and consistently, okay? And it starts with holding weekly huddles. We kind of brought this up, all right? This isn't a big production. No more than 30 minutes, okay? Same day every week, same time every week, okay? Share a win, hit your non-negotiables, okay? Remind the team what you're building. These huddles keep the mission alive, right? They keep the crew aligned, and they let you coach without lecturing. Most guys won't remember a training video, but they'll remember the owner who shows up every Monday morning with purpose and fire, okay? That's how you build winning momentum, okay? It is so, so, so important, okay, of holding that weekly meeting. We already kind of touched on that, but let's come back and hit it hard. It's every week, every Monday morning, every Monday morning. Every Monday morning, 7:30. Ours was every Sunday. But better be ready to go. Sitting in their, in
their spots.
In their spots, which they do. Everyone had theirs. They captured their own spot in the same chair.
It's like church.
Right? Okay. They were sitting ready by 7:30. I would lock the door at 7:30, so anyone's late ain't coming in. It's non-negotiable to be there every Monday morning at 7:30. Their trucks are already cleaned beforehand. That was that was all part of our thing. That's the culture we had. Right. They're ready. I walked in, as a general, as the admiral, whatever. In the Navy, it's admiral. Okay. And I didn't sit with the men. I stood. Okay. But it was every Monday morning. And we went over the same thing where it could feel like it's boring. Okay. Shouldn't we talk about something else? No. I can tell you again, 40 plus years of doing this and being around this, you've got to say the same things every single time. Every single time. Go over your non-negotiables, because by Wednesday we forget, okay? But it's there. It works.
Yes, so it needs to be a time that they know that they can rely on as well. It's something that keeps consistency and structure in their lives as well. So yes, making sure you have that meeting.
Okay. And so you're going over to the non-negotiables, and you want to coach up, not just call out, okay? All right? Anyone can point fingers. Real leaders pull guys up. When someone screws up, ask questions, give context. Don't just say, what went wrong. Teach what should have happened. When you correct without developing, okay, you build fear. But when you coach with purpose, you build confidence. And confident techs deliver better service, take more ownership, and raise the game for everyone around them. It is so, so, so important. Okay. So it's coaching up. We all had, I was trying to think, of an example, and I think we all could come up with an example here. And it's just part of the trade, but you have that master. It's like going through, applying for, you see these, I never did this, but, in college fraternities or whatever, and you go through hazing, which now everything's like bullying, but it was an important part. Just part of the process. And I think of the hazing I went through when I got into plumbing. The master plumbers, they gave me all the crap work. Would yell at me while I'm running to the truck to get something. It's all part of it, but it makes you tough. We need more of that. This thing of, having puppy time. Like I heard this, I can't, I mentioned I was in the Navy and went to boot camp. And so I still have friends that are, I know guys that have been kind of still in the military. My day in boot camp, I went to what they call 3 marching parties. That was held after taps when everyone else was asleep. And I was doing calisthenics because we got in trouble. SEALs are over you. Well, my company, I was company command leader, and my company got in trouble, so I paid the price for the company. Okay, but anyways, it was tough. And I saw guys would cry. I never cried, I laughed, which got in trouble, which I'm glad of the upbringing I got, because anyways, so I saw guys cry over folding underwear, had to fold their own underwear. Anyways, it's just, the reality is they're trying to break you down because the job is to fight, defend, and possibly die for your country, right? And not to hold a puppy when things get rough. And I'm going to need a puppy, I need a safe spot, okay? Well, it's the same thing with the trades, okay? And it's good. We need it. We need that. It's not necessarily fun to go through, but we've all had that, okay?
Were you recalling that you just saw something or
just that we've all had masters that have yelled at us and that kind of a thing. And we've all gone through it, and we get that. It doesn't necessarily help in this environment, though, in front of everybody to yell beyond the guys. Just to usually
as a plumbing business owner.
Right. That's the point I'm trying to make here. In these meetings, we're not just there to yell at the guys or, yell, bring, Joe's the one who messed up to go on, at him in front of everybody. Right. You want to pull him aside after the meeting. Yes. What I'm trying to say. Okay.
Yes.
All right. But, and then you coach him up, and, it all depends on his style. Okay. What he needs. Sometimes, guys just need an arm around them.
Again, one more thing that you didn't realize that you needed to do when you started your plumbing business is to kind of coach guys up. So. Right. And
so really, as far as, praising, we want to praise publicly, correct privately, okay? This is leadership, non-negotiable. When a guy does something right, shout him out in front of the team, okay? Celebrate it, make it known. But when someone's off track, okay, pull them aside, handle it one-on-one. Public praise creates loyalty. Private correction creates respect, right? Flip that dynamic and you build resentment, okay? Get it right, your team will go to war for you, okay? And they will, all right? They'll trust you and you can work with them. A big mistake, that's what leads me to remember, early on, and you're the one who corrected me on this.
Never.
I used to go, because so.
Hold on, not publicly.
That's right, and you didn't do it in front of the guys. I can remember having this conversation, but I used to, in the early days, if one of the guys was kind of slipping on something, I would talk to everybody like everybody was doing it.
Correct.
Okay. And really what that was my little pansy way of not confronting Joe on the issue directly. Right. And so if Joe wasn't doing options or doing something,
or truck was dirty,
doesn't matter. I would speak in a way to everybody, like everybody was doing it. And what came out of that was guys would feel like, you're better guys, why are you talking to me? Like, I ain't doing that.
Yeah, why are you getting all hot and bothered here in the meeting? I ain't doing this. And you would treat it like everyone would. So that was a harder thing for you to get over. You did get over it. being able to do that. But that is one of the worst things you can do. And you guys have all probably worked at a shop where the plumbing business owner did just that, right?
Right.
Call everybody out, even though it's not something that you're doing.
And so when, and that was my thing. That's why I get it, guys. I get it about not wanting to confront the guys, okay? Because you want to feel like a team and be part of the team. And it may have had a master or an owner come from a shop where he yelled at everybody, and or and even in the case of yelled at you in front of everybody and that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be that. But yet I still carried the thing of it. I didn't yell at Joe. I yelled at everybody.
Right.
It was just because I was afraid to confront Joe.
Right.
I was afraid. It's just it's uncomfortable.
Right.
So I get the emotion.
Right.
Okay. But that didn't work. That had an opposite effect of making my team feel comfortable. Ironically, again, it's so true. When I pulled Joe aside, that comes with respect. Then he has a respect, because then you're just talking one-on-one. Hey, Joe, haven't we talked about making options? Yeah. What seems, I even set up the place for you? Yeah. Well, what on this job, what happened last week that I had to call you? When you had to get on it again face to face, it's just, you can talk it through. It works better. And then had more positive effects with that.
Correct.
It actually worked. Joe actually made a difference. Well, the other way, my intent was to go after Joe. All I did was piss off the other guys, and Joe was like, I didn't do anything.
It's like, hold on, the Christmas story. Red Radio.
Flick
yeah. Red Ryder BB gun.
Yeah.
Right? And,
his tongue is stuck.
His tongue is stuck out on the flagpole. And
anybody seen
teacher's like, yeah, flick who?
Flick who? Exactly. So
sorry, where our brains go. But the opposite is true. When someone does a really great thing, man, give them attaboys. Attaboys? See how we did that?
Yeah.
Give them attaboys publicly. Everybody likes to almost everybody likes to have praise heaped upon them in front of other people. And that also shows the other guys on your crew, okay, well, my boss, he's willing to, give some attaboys or give some praise. And so that means that he's going to do it to me too. And that's the type of culture that we're in, where we're building people up. And also, if you give somebody praise on the way they handled a job or something was done, it might teach one of the new guys, oh, well, that's important. He's making a big deal about that, so that must be important to do, or he wouldn't make a big deal out. So it trains and teaches newer members on your team what the culture's like.
Exactly. How to create a winning plumbing team. Culture, all right, so important. Let's recap. Let's quickly recap what we've covered. All right, it's important. You got to have this down. Set the mission, build the standard. Culture starts with clarity. Define your mission, lock in your non-negotiables, and lead from the front. Your example sets the standard, okay? And the next, build a locker room, not just a staff list, okay? Hire for heart, not just hands. See how I play with words there, okay? Create a team identity. Celebrate the wins and protect your culture by firing fast when it's wrong. And then communicate like a coach.
Communicate like a coach.
Okay? All right? Hold consistent huddles, all right? Speak like a leader and communicate in a way that builds both loyalty and performance. Okay, it's so important. Okay,
go build the team.
That's right. And hey, if you're ready to fast track your plumbing business, like building a team, okay, if you're done guessing, done grinding, ready to build a real plumbing business that gives you both profit and peace, book a free strategy call with one of my success coaches. Okay, all right, we'll get you pointed in the right direction so that you can build a plumbing business that serves you. Okay. And not the other way around. Simply click the link in the show notes or go to milliondollarplumber.com/call to schedule your free strategy call.
Okay,
all right, and do that. Okay, simple conversation. Good stuff here. Okay, you do these simple things, you build, you'll create a winning team culture. All right, and that does change everything. It's amazing to see your average ticket go up when you got a good culture. Okay,
magic.
All right, hey, good one here. Before we let you go, as always, I want to remind you that you were purposefully and wonderfully created, and you were created to do great things. So plumb like a champion.
Bye, everybody.